What's up, everybody? My name is Patrick, and you're watching Mental Equity episode number 2. I want to first say thank you for all the support that you gave me on that first video. It means a ton to me, and I'm very excited to have you back here today, and you should be too. It shows a lot about your eagerness to learn, to grow, to stay motivated and inspired, and I'm very happy if I could give any of that to you. But today I want to talk about investing in yourself. I want to tell you why I decided to call this YouTube channel Mental Equity. And there's a lot of information in this, more than I anticipated, so I decided I'm going to split this into 2 videos. So make sure you follow up, check up with me next week so you can catch the second half of this. But let's get right into it. So it's actually pretty simple, guys. It's all about me. This is all about using your gifts and using your talents, continuing to invest in yourself. Guys, our most important asset is right here. It's in ourselves. And the more we invest in ourselves, the more we learn how to live up to our fullest potential. Now that excites me, and I hope that excites you too. So let's break down equity. As a real estate investor, we look at and we use equity all the time. And so the examples that I have back here are going to show you a little bit about how we do that in real estate, but it's also going to show you how to apply those same concepts to invest right here. Make sense? All right, so let's break down equity. Equity is the value of something minus its debt. So if we have a $100,000 house and it has an $80,000 mortgage on it, our equity is $20,000. Another way I like to think about that is our assets minus our liabilities. So in investing, an asset is something that puts money into your pockets. A liability is something that takes money out of your pockets, right? I always like the things that put money into my pocket. That makes sense? In our own mind, we can think about an asset as something that is productive, something that creates a good idea, a good trait about us, our talents, our gifts. You know, a liability is going to be our bad habits. It's going to be the things that take away from us. It's going to be the things that hold us down, that get us stuck in those ruts, right? Okay, so let's think about it that way as we move forward. Think about this, guys. Is it possible to have a mortgage that's worth more than the actual house? Yes. In real estate, we call that being upside down. Now think about that in terms of your own mental state. Is it possible to have more baggage and more debts on yourself than it is to actually provide value? Yes. And if you go back to my first video, guys, I talked about being in a situation where I drove around in this old beat up car, in this beat up vehicle, and it was always breaking down on me. At that point in my life, guys, I was upside down. And the negativity and the bad things that I had going on in my life just took over everything and completely took away from my value. I lost all sense of what I had to offer the world, and I was so focused on just being stuck down below. So in that sense, I was upside down, and I've been there plenty of times. But as an investor, we can still take something that's upside down and we can acquire it in a very creative way and rent it out to people and still make money on that. So we could turn something that's upside down into an asset. So guys, from now on, you are an investor. I want you to think as an investor, okay? And that's gonna make sense going down the line a little bit. All right, so there are 2 ways that we could increase our equity, and we're gonna talk about the first one today. So the first way is going to be to decrease that debt. We are going to decrease the amount of debt that we have on ourselves, right? And so how do we do that when it comes to a house? What do we do? We pay down the debt, right? We pay the mortgage. We pay the mortgage every single month. So I drew over here an amortization schedule. This shows an average 30-year mortgage, right? And we're just gonna say that this mortgage is at 6%. We got a 30-year mortgage over here at 6%. Now, we've already paid off some of it, right? We've already paid off $20,000. That's how we get this $20,000 worth of equity, right? So in that case, where would you think that we might be in this? From 0 to 30 years, what year do you think we'd be on? Guys, we're actually on year 11. So that's quite a bit. That's a third of the way into it. If we're more than a third of the way in, shouldn't we have $33,000 worth of equity over here? Why do we only have 20? Well, that's a great question. So you see this red line here? This represents interest. And the blue line here, that represents principal. So what we're paying off, this $100,000, is only reflective of the principal. We still have to take into consideration the interest. And that interest is 6% that we're getting charged, but it's amortized. And the banks are smart. They're gonna make sure that they get their money first. So what do? They front load all the interest. For quite a while, you're paying way more in interest than you are on your actual principal of the house. I want you guys to think of this as bad habits. So I want you to think about all of the interest in the beginning of this loan here as our bad habits. So guys, if we just take our time and pay month by month, 360 payments later, we're going to pay a ton in interest if we pay down that loan just one payment at a time all the way for 30 years. It's going to be so much in interest actually. We're going to pay about $116,000 worth of interest, guys. We're going to pay $116,000 worth of interest. That means for this $100,000 house, we paid $216,000. Do you want to pay $216,000? No, I don't. Let's back up. Here's why I say let's think about this as bad habits. If we're focusing so heavily on a bad habit and trying to break that bad habit, what do? We replace it with something else, right? And so if we're trying to give up smoking, we replace it with maybe vaping or chewing nicotine gum or something to that effect. Guys, we're not looking at what's causing that bad habit. What are we doing? We are craving something that we're not getting, which is why we have that habit in the first place. So in cigarettes, we're craving that nicotine, right? That's what we want. That's what our body is used to. Our brain is now functioning. It's used to having that nicotine. So we need to get that nicotine somehow. So guys, if we focus on solely trying to break bad habits, we're still going to be craving something. So do you want to spend 30 years trying to pay off a $100,000 mortgage and pay an extra $116,000 worth of interest? I don't. And I don't want to spend all this time trying to break bad habits just one little step at a time. I'd rather knock it all out at once. What if I told you that as an investors, we know how to pay off a 30-year mortgage in 6 years? Actually, I've known investors to pay off a 30-year mortgage in 2 years because we're investors and we think about things different. We understand that if we focus on this part of the loan, if we focus on paying off the principal, then we automatically knock out interest. And we knock out years worth of payments. And this is a pretty cool strategy, guys. I wish I had time to go into it right now. Unfortunately I don't. It's really involved. There's a lot of detail to it. If you want to learn more about it, email me at learn@mentalequity and I can talk to you a little bit more about it and how it may apply to you in your situation. But here's the basic concept. What we do is we take chunks away here and we toss it at the principal over here, and it automatically takes out the interest. It takes off years of that loan, of that mortgage. As an example, let's say that we have $10,000 and we pay a $10,000 principal only payment to this loan. Guys, if we pay $10,000 to the principal of the loan, guess how far ahead we jump in it? At $80,000, we already paid $80,000, right? So we're already 11 and a half in. We jump forward another 3.5 years by putting $10,000 to the principal in. So we just jumped to year 15. We're now at year 15 because we had $10,000 that we threw at the principal of that loan. And guess how much we saved in interest? We just saved $11,500 in interest, right? $11,500 in interest by putting $10,000 to the principal of this loan. All right, so let's relate it back now. I want you to think about this part of the loan, paying down chunks of the principal, as your good habits. So by focusing on our good habits, we automatically knock off our bad habits. So for example, all my fitness models and health guys out there, the people that go to the gym all the time, if you go to the gym every day, are you going to eat bad every day too? No, you're not, because that's a bad habit and that's counterproductive to what you're doing, right? You have a goal, you have a passion. Maybe you want to have this nice physique, or maybe you just want some athletic abilities. Whatever the case is, you're going to the gym every day because it fuels something inside of you, right? And you get on that routine, and now your routine starts forming itself. You don't have time for these bad habits. You don't have time to eat bad. You don't have time for all these negative things that affect your health and affect the way that you lift, right? You're striving for that next goal. You have to automatically start knocking off these bad habits because of your routine, because of what you're trying to go for. And that works with everything, guys. Now, this may take time. This may be challenging, right? You may not feel motivated upon the first few tasks you complete. You may not feel like you're eliminating any bad habits. It's okay, right? You may not have the $10,000 to invest. Are any of you guys thinking that right now? Wondering, how in the heck did he get $10,000 to invest and do this? I don't have $10,000 just sitting around. I can't just do that, right? I don't either. But guys, I'm an investor. You're an investor. Remember, we think creatively. We know how to make this work. We know how to be creative and make these things happen. Guys, so do this. Just breathe. Take one step at a time every day. One step. Pretty soon those steps will get bigger and you're going to make things happen. Those bad habits are going to fall off and you're going to pursue your passion, right? I'm having fun. I really wish I could get into the rest of this with you guys. I want to show you how to increase your value. That's what we're talking about next time. So come back, keep learning, keep growing with me. Hey, if you want to learn how to pay down your 30-year mortgage in 6 years, email me at learn@mentalequity.com. We can discuss it further. Comment, like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Please share. I appreciate it. But thank you guys so much for watching the second video. Check back with me next week, and I'll see you all soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.